Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are going after a hidden enemy, one that's way more dangerous than the fat you can actually see or pinch. We're talking about visceral fat. We're going to break down the science of how to target it and really improve your health from the inside out.
Okay, let's just dive right into this because this distinction is absolutely crucial. We all tend to focus on the fat we see in the mirror, but what's hiding underneath? Well, that's a completely different and much more serious story.
All right, so you've got two main players here. On the left, there's subcutaneous fat. That's the pinchable stuff, right? The fat right under your skin, the muffin top, the stuff on your arms. For the most part, it's a cosmetic issue. But on the right, that's visceral fat. This is the internal fat that's deep inside your body, behind your abs, and it's wrapping itself around your organs. And that's where the real trouble begins. So what is it that makes this internal fat the true villain of our story? Well, it's not just sitting there, taking up space. Oh no, it's active. It's very, very active.
Visceral fat is nasty stuff. It literally grows like a baseball glove, wrapping around and choking your vital organs. But it gets worse. This fat is like a little factory, a highly active organ that's constantly pumping out inflammatory gunk into your body. This inflammation is the direct highway to a higher risk for huge problems, like heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and even more than a dozen kinds of cancer.
All of that inflammation leads straight to this condition right here, insulin resistance. Think of it this way. Insulin is the key that's supposed to unlock your cells to let sugar in for energy. But when your cells become resistant, it's like the locks get all rusted up. The key doesn't work so well anymore, and all that sugar gets stuck in your bloodstream. And this is the vicious cycle it creates. It's a real trap. More visceral fat means more inflammation. That inflammation makes your insulin resistance even worse. So what does your body do? It panics and pumps out even more insulin to try to control your blood sugar. And here's the real kicker. High insulin is a fat-storing hormone. It essentially locks the doors on your fat cells, making it impossible for your body to burn that fat for fuel. So the very fat you have is preventing you from losing it. And please, don't think this is just an issue for people who are visibly overweight. Not at all. There was a fascinating study on women with a totally normal BMI. They looked thin, but they had high levels of visceral fat inside. They call it skinny fat. And they found these women had double the risk of developing breast cancer. It's a powerful, powerful reminder that what's on the inside is what really counts. But okay, what if I told you that your body has a built-in secret weapon to fight back against all this? Let's introduce the hero of this story, a completely different kind of fat. So your body basically has two main types of fat. You've got white fat on the left, that's the jiggly stuff we all know. It stores energy and it gets inflammatory when you have too much. But then there's brown fat. And this stuff is a whole different animal. It's wafer thin, and instead of storing fuel, it does the exact opposite. It burns fuel. It's absolutely packed with mitochondria, which are like tiny little energy furnaces inside your cells. I absolutely love this quote from Dr. William Li because it's the perfect way to picture it. Brown fat is literally like a tiny space heater or a gas burner inside your body. Its one and only job is to generate heat. And that heat-generating process has a fancy name, thermogenesis. But here's the million-dollar question. To fire up that internal furnace, where does brown fat get its fuel? It pulls it directly from your harmful, inflammatory white fat, especially that dangerous visceral fat. So the crucial takeaway is this. Your good fat burns your bad fat. Okay, so we've found our hero. Now, how do we put it to work? Well, it's a two-pronged attack. It involves a core strategy and some very specific weapons. First up, the big picture strategy. And honestly, to break that vicious cycle we talked about, this is the single most important thing you can possibly do. Get your body into a low insulin state. When insulin is low, it's like a big green light for your body to stop storing fat and finally start burning it for fuel. And this chart right here shows you exactly why that strategy works so well. I mean, look at the difference. Carbohydrates cause a massive spike in blood sugar and insulin. Protein has a medium effect, but look over at fat. It barely moves the needle at all. This is exactly why a low-carb approach is so effective. So how do you actually do this? Well, there are two incredibly powerful proven ways. The first is a low-carb diet. You're just taking away the main thing that spikes your insulin in the first place. The second is intermittent fasting, where you just shrink your eating window each day. When you're not eating, insulin stays nice and low, which keeps your body in that fat-burning state for much, much longer. Okay, so that's the strategy. Now for the fun part. Let's arm our hero. The strategy gets your body into fat-burning mode, and these weapons, these specific foods and drinks, directly flip the switch on your brown fat, cranking that internal furnace up to high. Just look at this arsenal. The stuff in coffee and tea is proven to trigger that heat-making process. Beans and legumes, they're fantastic. One study found eating a cup of beans 5 days a week shrunk people's waists by an inch in just a month. And veggies like broccoli and cauliflower contain something called sulforaphane, which literally tells your brown fat to start burning white fat. How cool is that?
And hey, don't ever underestimate the simple things. This one might blow your mind. In a year-long study, one group of women switched from diet sodas to just plain water. The results? Absolutely staggering. The water drinkers lost 17 times more weight. Why? Well, those artificial sweeteners can really mess up your healthy gut bacteria, which just throws your metabolism out of whack and fuels inflammation.
This is what I'm talking about. Small, consistent changes can have a massive impact. I mean, look at this. A study found that people who ate the equivalent of just 3 medium-sized carrots a day had a 58% lower risk of developing metabolic syndrome. That's a huge return on a very simple investment. And check out this real-world example. In a 6-month study, one overweight group drank 4 cups of coffee a day. The other group got a placebo. The coffee drinkers, they lost an average of 4.6 pounds. But the placebo group, they actually gained 4.4 pounds. You add that up, and that's a 9-pound difference, just from the metabolic boost of coffee. That's incredible. All right, let's bring it all home. Let's combine all these pieces into one clear, powerful winning strategy. So here it is, your complete attack plan. First, you create the right environment with a low insulin strategy. Second, you actively turn on your body's own fat-burning machinery with all those amazing weapon foods. You add in some moderate to high-intensity aerobic exercise, which is fantastic for targeting visceral fat, and you apply these steps consistently. That is how you break that vicious cycle for good. You see, when you understand this science, you're no longer just guessing or dieting blindly. You are strategically working with your body, giving it exactly what it needs to win the battle against this unseen enemy. Your body already has the engine. Now you know how to turn the key.